Hello and welcome back to the Living by Numbers podcast. I am so glad you're here. We are entering into a new energy. September is a nine energy month inside a nine energy year. 2025 is all about the nine. Now, if you had listened to my forecast at the beginning of the year in January, I did a full year kind of what was coming down the pipe for us for 2025 and why September is so important in this story is because the nine energy of September is going to be showing us a lot about what we've been meant to learn about our whole year. So, at the beginning of 2025, I dubbed this year as the year of full frequency because nine energy is full frequency energy. And because it's a universal nine, we're all being asked to step into our full frequency, step into our higher wisdom, step into our um, uh, that deep understanding and knowing. It's about integrity. So it's not surprising we're seeing a lot of stuff play out in the world about integrity. September will be a month where we really see it's just like it's in our faces so in such a big way, and there's going to be some shifts happening all over the planet, both personally and collectively. So let's keep our eyeballs on it and see what's going to happen. But for today, I want to share with you how you can identify the nine energy in your own personal life and in your career and in the lives around, like with the people that you live with, that you live and work with. So, the first thing before we get into the nine energy, I always like to debrief what happened last month because I can talk about what to expect, but I think it's just as important to go over what just happened so that we can make sense of last month's energy, which was an eight energy. So the theme of August with eight energy, the themes were power, whether it was power over. You may have had experience of somebody having power over. You may have been the one that had power over and a choice and how you use that power. There's likely themes about your own personal power and autonomy. It's also the energy of ambition. So I wouldn't be surprised if you've been stuck with career questions or money questions that probably had a little tip forward for you. There might have been a little bit more awareness about that particular energy and the ability to actually kind of move forward with that kind of that leadership and ambition piece. I noticed that come up in my own world. If you follow me personally, if you are in my personal world, you know that I started up a little micro bakery business. That was not on my radar. Not not even close, even the month before. And so, but interestingly enough, that had been on my radar many years ago. Like when I first got into the whole aesthetics and beauty part of my career in my 20s, I actually wanted to open up a bakery. And so I love baking. I love baking cookies. It's one of my love languages. I love, when I bake, I think about the people who I'm baking for. And so, I don't know, it's just something I love doing. I've always loved doing. And it was also one of those little love language things with between me and my dad. And my dad passed at the end of June. And so, lots coming up about remembering him. And so there was a lot of memories about cookies because I would make him cookies and he would eat them and. And that was just kind of what happened throughout our whole life. It was like code for Dad, I love you. I could always say Dad, I love you, but it was also an extra code way of saying it. So funny. Haha. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. I've created a little micro bakery business in my own community. But it was because I was also craving to get back into my community. All of my work that I've been doing the past 10 years has been all online, all over North America. And, I've just been feeling disconnected from the people in my community. So that was another hit that came up in terms of like, ambition and leadership. It turned out for me that it was like a little, launching a little micro bakery business. And so I'm really curious what came up with you in terms of power, authority, ambition, and leadership. Okay. It essentially was here to just kind of test us out and see how are we feeling about claiming our own authority? How are we feeling about, you know, making ourselves main character energy rather than outsourcing it? It was here to also give us an opportunity to step into some higher standards, which is the nine energy that we have just moved into for September. So I want before I get into that nine energy, I want to share just a little kind of personal story and experience about how I also experienced the eight energy in August. And because I knew that we were dealing with themes of power and authority and autonomy and sovereignty, like personal sovereignty, there was a theme that came up for me, and the phrase was main character energy. And I'd heard the phrase over the past couple of months from other creators, not in the numerology arena, but just kind of out and about. I'm sure you've heard it too, main character energy. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about that and what that actually meant, especially as someone who I'm a natural caregiver. When I was a little girl, I'm the eldest daughter. And so I helped my mom take care of my sister and help take care of my little brother. I could always see where she was struggling. And so, that's part of where that came from is like looking to see where people struggle and wanting to help and knowing I could help. And so, even as I grew into an adult and chose a career, I chose to get into the beauty industry, the aesthetics industry in particular, spa. That's all about making sure other people are comfortable. And so, what I've been experiencing over the past 5 years in my own personal growth and development is, and then pairing it with kind of this main character energy idea, concept. I realized last month, like it hit me like a ton of bricks, um, that over the past 25 years, especially throughout my career as an esthetician and spa owner, that I've been in caregiving roles literally my whole life. And I have spent my whole life making other people comfortable. It made me feel good. I was good at it. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. But what that does over the decades and decades of being that person, being that friend that always sees when you need help and, takes over a meal or calls or texts to check in to see how things are going, that consistent kind of looking at who needs you and what you can do to help. And so it ended up making kind of forming this opinion or a perspective of myself that I'm the one that holds it all together. And that feels really heavy. That felt really heavy. And with that also comes with the realization that many, many, many times I have abandoned myself, my own power, because I've either outsourced it or I'm the one who's in the caregiving role, in a heavy caregiving role. And so this eight energy kind of cracked something open for me that I was like, no more. No, I'm not going to do that anymore. And it comes off the heels of, being heavily involved in the caregiving of my father and my mother-in-law, or my stepmom, and just like feeling the heaviness of all of that. But it was on top of literally a lifetime of caregiving for everybody else. And so it's really hit home for me that it is no longer acceptable for myself, to abandon myself any which way. And so, what that kind of circling back to what that main character energy means to me now, it means to me that I prioritize my own comfort. It means I prioritize my needs and I prioritize my desires. And so, for those of you that have been people pleasers your whole life, heavy duty caregivers your whole life, that doing that, prioritizing your own comfort, that's going to feel really weird. And it's going to probably not just feel weird, but feel inherently wrong or uncomfortable, really deeply uncomfortable. Like it feels like this isn't the way it's supposed to be. But I want you to know that that is an inner shift. If you're feeling those things as well, that inner shift is something that the eight energy brings to you. That's the gift, that kind of niggling feeling that you deserve more, that you want more, that your comfort comes first, that your desires come first, that your needs come first. So it's literally like an act of rebellion, in my opinion, for those of us that have been people pleasers and caregivers our whole life. It's literally an act of rebellion. And that's that eight energy as well. It's like, screw that. I'm not doing that anymore. So I just found it fascinating to reflect just in my own personal life what August's energy, that eight energy of power, authority, and autonomy shared with me. It shared with me that I am fully in my main character energy era, if you will. So I'm really curious to see if any of that has been coming up for you because the eight energy is the main character. So the takeaway of our August, that energy is that the eight teaches us about self-responsibility. It's empowering. It's not meant to drain you. And that's where a lot of us as caregivers in our careers or our personal lives got lost along the way with the eight energy of getting shit done. Because the eight is definitely a get shit done number, but it shouldn't drain us. That's the flag in the play. So now, what do we carry into September from that eight energy of August? Can we say it all together? We are releasing old patterns of self-abandonment. Say it with me again. We are releasing old patterns of self-abandonment so that we can step into our full frequency. And here we are, nine energy, September. We're at full frequency energetics. That's what's available for us all of this month and all of this year. It's available for us. What you might have noticed about the nine energy year is that every single month, whatever energetics is, whether one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, that nine is going to always ask us for higher wisdom, to look at it from a higher perspective. And it's going to demand that we let go of it and not bring it through into the next manifestation cycle. Because why, if it's old and not working for us, why do we keep holding on to it? We're just used to that. We don't like letting go of things as humans. It feels comfortable. It's kind of like better the devil you know than the devil you don't. But at the end of the day, it just those things that we need to let go of, they are not serving us anymore. And I know we've heard this phrase over and over and over again in the kind of the spiritual communities about release what's no longer serving you. And it's starting to give me a bit of the ick, just because it is everywhere. And in some places, I'm like, I don't know if you totally get that, but they're just words. And I also have to, it's still true in a lot of ways. So let's dive into that nine energy and what it means for us this month in September and what it means for us big picture wise for this year, and wrapping up this year. So the nine is the end of a manifestation cycle. And we've just gone through a mini manifestation cycle starting in January. We are also in a bigger manifestation cycle because they're, again, 9 years long. So 9 years ago, we started another bigger manifestation cycle. So I want you to think about, where were you? What was going on for you in 2017? I guarantee you that something new started, a new phase of your life, a new job, like something started. One of my friends and colleagues, her mom passed away. It was either 2016 or 2017. I think it was actually 2017 was the year her mom passed away. I'm hearing from other colleagues and clients that that's when a relationship ended. That's when they decided to do a shift in their career. But something happened 9 years ago that got started with something new. For me, it was actually in 2016, I'd had another spiritual awakening. I've been very spiritual my whole life, but of course life happens. And when we got little kids and we're up to our neck in career stuff, it's a little harder to be intentional with it. But I've always been a spiritual person. Big picture, that I believe in energetics and how this kind of the quantumness of how we live our lives. But in 2016, I had had to take the summer off. I'd had a hysterectomy, and so I couldn't work for 6 weeks. And I was did a lot of reading. And one of the books, actually, I bought two books, and I can't even remember. I think I just saw them and like that looked good. But it was called Rise Sister Rise by Rebecca Campbell. And that book was quickly followed with Light is the New Black. I read that one like back to back. And it was an awakening. It was a wake up call about the rise of the divine feminine. Now, I know the rise has been happening slowly for some time, but in 2016, there was a bit of a quickening, it seemed like, in terms of younger women um, just kind of aware of like the divine feminine, talking about matrilineal lineages, the energetics of those. And so I went to a beautiful event in upstate New York at Omega Institute and had I was part of her Rise Sister Rise US event, and it was absolutely life changing. And I came home being like really clear that I spent 5 days connected to other women, more connected to myself than I had been in decades. And just like, I want to live like this all the time. I want my day to day to feel like this. I want to live in this liminal spiritual space in my mind. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. Um, but, you know, along comes numerology, blah, 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 blah. And here I am. I now have a numerology podcast. I've shifted it completely away from spa and beauty wellness business. And this year was when I shifted it completely. I went through a major shift in the spring. I was like, you know, the beauty and wellness business model was just not fulfilling me as much anymore. It hadn't been for a couple of years, but I was doing it because, it was my career, it was my job. Um, but the numerology was feeling stronger. So in the spring, I made the decision to be like, you know what? I've got to, what's the term? Blanking right now, but I've got to rip the band-aid off. Like I've got to end it. And so, if you have been following me for a while, you would have noticed that for all of, I think it was like April and actually all of May, I created a new website for myself. It's just numerology for life and for career. For career, it can be business. I still offer business coaching. It's where my brain works. But I myself, in this nine energy year, have had a lot of endings. I've completed some cycles. That's what they're there for, cycle completion. It's not meant to kind of drag it farther just because it feels comfortable. It's cycle completion. And so that's where we're at with this nine energy this year. Every single month it was going to be asking us to let go of the things that particular energy in that month is asking to let go of. All right. And that's all for the purpose of us to be able to step into our highest frequency. In my January podcast, I mentioned, like, can you imagine? Like, just for a second, just daydream about what is possible if you step into full frequency, if you're your own full frequency. That just boggles my mind. It gets me so excited. It gets me like I feel like we can do anything as a group of humans. I feel personally like I can do anything. If I'm at my full frequency, whew, that's going to be like, I don't even know what that's going to look like. Kind of scary in some ways, but very, very exciting to me in a lot of other ways. Now, I wanted to share something with you that I made in January, and it's been sitting on my fridge ever since. And it's a little stick me. I don't know if it's going to be backwards when you see it, but I wrote myself this to remind myself when things get a little crunchy. And it's on the top, it says 2025 challenges. And there's a question here. And I want you to maybe write this on your own sticky and put it on your fridge, wherever you're going to see it. The question is, what do I need to learn from this situation? And what will I gain if I let go of it? That's the nine energy in a nutshell. So, whatever is going on in your life, personal, business, career, family, anything, what do I need to learn from this situation? And what will I gain if I let go of it? Especially, this question is especially true when you are feeling like the letting go part is very difficult. All right, just a little reminder. All right, let's talk about the high and low vibrations of the nine so that you can identify them a lot easier. So we've talked about a lot about letting go. That often is kind of what the nine gets known for is loss. And I did a Instagram reel last week about this and a kind of about my experience in the past couple of months. Past couple of years, I've had a lot of loss. I've had a lot of change in the past year, last 5 years. It has knocked me on my ass more than one occasion. And this past year has just been a doozy with my dad discovering how sick he was and my stepmom being sick as well, really sick as well. So it's just been like, feels like chaos, but there's so many pieces about endings and letting go. I can't ignore the beauty of that suggestion that the nine does. So, and the whole reason why we are meant to let go is so we can move ahead. So, just for a little a minute, just consider if you've got something going on really that feels really hard to let go of, whatever it is. I want you to consider that the longer you cling to it, the harder this process will be. And the process I mean is like moving forward with peace, with clarity, with a clear heart, with a full heart. The more you cling, the harder this process is. The harder this letting go process is. Letting go isn't, there is loss and it's okay. We can feel sad. We can feel grief. Even if we're the ones that are choosing to let it go, if it's a relationship, that can be exceptionally hard. And it can feel weird. Why do I feel such grief when I'm the one that's letting this go? It's valid to still grieve and have a grieving process, even though you're the one that's choosing to let it go, whatever that is, career, person, place, anything. But just know that in order to move to your next phase, you have to let go of the stuff that doesn't work anymore. So even though you maybe can't see what the next phase is, trust this process. There is a new beginning, a new fresh start that's not meant to have like to pull all the old baggage forward. Okay. The next high vibration of the nine is having higher wisdom. And in my post the reel that I did a couple days ago, that's really what I was sharing was that because I've had so much loss and change over the past 5 years, and especially losing my dad this summer, it like I can just it can feel scary. The nine can feel scary. So there's part of me like, oh my God, like we're gonna head into September. It's a nine energy month and a nine energy year. Like, oh, I don't even want to look. It scared me because I've had so much loss and so much change. Like, I don't want any more change. But what started dawning on me last week was this gut knowing, this gut uh, wisdom that everything's going to be okay. That there's actually a peace, like a very deep peace in this nine energy. And I have like peace is all I want. That's my main goal. Peace, 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 peace. And so I am willing to let go of the hard stuff because I so badly just want peace in my heart. I want peace in my body. I want peace in my environment. And I know it's not always, can't have that all the time, but for the most part, that's what I want. And that's what I insist on having. And I'm going to be very intentional about that. And so I've been feeling like not so much afraid of the nine energy, but actually feeling like, huh, I kind of feel like I'm just gone through like a big upgrade, like this big energetic upgrade. And that energetic upgrade is actually higher wisdom. It's the integration of higher wisdom. So the nine energy is also about leading by example. So those of you that are life path nines, in order to find your life path, you add up your birth date, day, month, year, all separately until you get to a double digit and then you reduce it. So for those of you that are a life path nine, one of the high characteristics that you have is very high integrity. And another one is humanitarianism. So life path nines often just inherently find themselves in work that has to do with humanitarianism, that has to do with integrity. And the nine energy just has to walk its talk. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm doing all this. That would be like low vibe eight. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And, kind of trying to pump yourself up for power and authority. The nine, the nine low, the low nine can be kind of critical and judgmental, but the high nine just has that deep inner knowing. That's that wisdom. And so maybe you too have been starting to feel this kind of upgrade happening, this energetic upgrade that maybe you haven't been able to put a finger on it, but now that I say it, that might be what's happening. The nine energy, because we're at the end of a manifestation cycle, we're at a mini manifestation cycle completion from the beginning of the year. It's also about having high standards. This is graduation season. You've learned a few things the past 9 months. You've learned a few things the past 9 years, right? Right. So this isn't about achievement. This is about completion and integration. Okay, so it just feels different. It feels a little different. It doesn't feel so like I'm here. It's more, it's quieter. It's from the eight energy of like, hey, it's me. The nine is a little bit more about spiritual maturity. Okay, so let's have a little reality check moment here. I got a couple questions for you. Because we're in a nine energy month, we're completing the cycle from the beginning of the year. What did you just move through this year? Hmm? What did you just move through? I know you moved through something big. What has clicked into place, or what's starting to feel like it's clicking into place? And then third one, can you name the wisdom that's ready to be carried forward? That might be a little trickier one. Can you name the wisdom? I name the wisdom as main character energy. That's part of my, naming that. I've got main character energy. And I say that to myself when I'm starting to feel like, not that I'm compromising, but just this is new to me to think of myself as main character energy. So I'm just playing with it and I'm having fun with it and seeing where I can play with it. Oh, wait, what can we expect for the month? So those are the high vibrations. I want to give you a little bit of perspective in terms of what. So we talked about what you could be feeling and sensing. Now I want to point out like what could be actually happening. So the big one, closure, situations, projects, situationships, relationships ending, and that can be your career. It can be personal relationships ending. It could be actually not just relationships ending, but old patterns or the old ways you were in a relationship. That can be ending. So the relationship itself doesn't have to end, but maybe there is an end in the patterns. Phew, wouldn't that be nice? Those are always so great when we see those patterns wrapping up and not needing to be used again. Or even maybe you're letting go of an old identity. So I that's something I have to do. I've been in the beauty and wellness space like my whole adult career. It's been really weird for me to think that I'm not necessarily in that space anymore. And so it's also been very challenging to be like, well, what's next? Yeah, the numerology is next. I love it. That's growing. But what else? That's the cookie business. That's some ideas with my numerology, like, doing some local psychic fairs, putting more energy into the numerology rather than into business coaching and consulting. But that was part of my identity in the beauty and wellness space. So that's been challenging. Oh, a sense of a new normal arriving. So because we've got closures happening this month, you may not exactly know what's arriving, but there's this kind of sense that there's a new normal. And again, we have to drop into that high vibration of the nine, of that inner wisdom. Like, we don't maybe have all the answers, but we're going to, it's like that. Think about the wise woman. She sits back and she listens, she watches, and then with her experience, along with the listening and the watching, she forms an opinion and she forms some to-dos that she thinks we should do. So embody that wise woman. It's, maybe all the answers aren't right in front of you, and you have to kind of dive in a little bit to kind of check in to see what that integrity piece is and that kind of inner wisdom piece looks like. But again, it's that sensing that there's a new normal. And when we feel like there's a new normal coming, that is where we know we are at a crossroads. So it's okay to feel like you're at a crossroads. It's not super comfortable for most of us, but the new normal is coming. We also might find ourselves looking back, not necessarily with regret, but more with just perspective and wisdom. Now, regret is a little bit of a low vibe energy, but I mean, I still think it's okay to have regrets. I think about, when my dad passed, like I would have liked to have had more time, spent more time with him in previous years, but for all sorts of reasons, that didn't happen. And that's about understanding that, making peace with it. Um, but I'm still able to look back and understand it with compassion and with love for both myself and for him. The nine energy, like I said, is a bit of a spiritual detox. So don't be surprised if you do feel grief. Cry. It's okay to cry. I never cried for, like, I didn't like crying. It made me like feel like I'm weak. And even though I would always encourage other people to cry, I didn't like crying. But, I have given that up a long time ago. Like, when 5 years ago, when things went completely crazy in my life, I have learned that crying is very, very healthy. Because if we do not process our emotions, emotions, they're meant to move through us, not stay stuck in our body. That's when we get sick. That's when we get physically sick. That's when we get emotionally and mentally sick. So think of this as a spiritual detox. If there is grief, that's okay, but it will likely lead to relief and in the end, liberation. And that's what we're looking for in this cycle completion and closure. All right, let's talk about the lessons of the nine energy, like these core lessons. Unconditional love. That's a hard one. That's really hard. It is incredibly hard to love somebody so much that you sometimes have to walk away from them, or you have to set down boundaries that feel really awful to you because you don't want to. Unconditional love means we love them so much, but we also love ourselves and we will not abandon ourselves. And so, yeah, that nine energy can be a really hard, painful lesson on unconditional love. But once you get it about unconditional love, then you get it. You really get it and what that truly means. And tied into that, these lessons of unconditional love, because gosh, those are tough lessons, comes forgiveness. Comes, it's forgiveness about ourselves for abandoning ourselves all those times we didn't mean to, we didn't know we were. Um, and also forgiveness of others, having that karmic release so we don't have to keep playing out these stupid patterns anymore. Are you done with the stupid patterns? I'm done with the stupid patterns. Your inner navigation system, everything you've learned in the past 9 months, the past 9 years, that's that integration piece, that wisdom piece. And it's also this lesson for us to be aware of. And so be aware of how it's happening, but be aware of when you are stepping into your fullest frequency. And, it's about stepping into the wholeness of who you are. If you're talking about like what does full frequency mean? It means like your whole self, your whole big beautiful self, all the parts are showing, are activated in a good way. They're online, your gifts are here. You know how to manage your low vibration. That's full frequency. And then using it for our career, using it for our relationships. Ooh, just gets me all going. I love it. All right, so we've talked a lot about the high vibration of nine, that wisdom, ending, graceful endings and acceptance, compassion, unconditional love and forgiveness, clearing space for what's next. I often think of that nine as like that person that's like way overpacked on a vacation and they are on the struggle bus trying to like juggle all their stuff. They can't carry it all. They have to go back and get a bigger bag and it's chaos. Just pack light for this next manifestation cycle. But let's talk about the low vibration because I know that you're going to be seeing it and wondering like what's up here. All right. Number one, right off the gate, clinging to the past, resistance to change. This is definitely the low vibration that is often easiest to spot. Um, because nobody, most people, we don't like change. It hurts. It feels uncomfortable. Again, it's that devil you know better than the devil you don't. You know, bitterness, regret, martyrdom. If somebody is in their low vibe nine energy, they are critical and judgy pants. It's like it sucks. We all know that when we're around that person. Um, they are often like that energy is also it's very harsh. Like there's a lot of self-criticism and self-judgment, criticism of others. Um, Avoiding responsibility, escapism, that's another low vibration of the nine. Remember, I said the high vibration is about integrity, walking your talk, humanitarianism. So, the low vibe, if you are just being a judgy pants about other people, that doesn't help anything at all. In fact, it brings your own low vibe into the arena. I just don't have patience for people like that anymore. This year, that was one of those things as far as being around somebody who is critical and judgmental. I'm just not doing it anymore. Hard no. There are some people in my life that I've just keep very, very separate. If I do have to spend time with them, you know, I do, but I make sure that I am clearly not in their arena for the most part because I just don't want to be around it anymore. I don't, it's like for me, it's like somebody's like flinging shit at me and I don't want to be in any part of that vicinity, so I'll just keep myself away. And I'm also watching for myself when I'm being critical of others. That's that flag in the play for sure too. Okay, avoidance of responsibility, escapism, so that procrastination, that's a nine low vibration. And then the other one, last one I have here is about being a victim, playing the victim and martyr. It's more about martyring. I do all these things for you and or, we all know that kind of person. And we also know when we pull that garbage ourselves, like, no, no, it's fine. I'll do it. I'll do it. It's fine. It's fine. So don't pull that shit anymore. You don't need to. You are able to be main character energy and just sit in that knowingness and operate from main character energy, not from a place of, holier than thou, but just as like, yeah, I'm main character. I'm paying attention to my needs and comforts and wants. Okay, so, you know, now we've talked about the high vibration, the low vibration, what to expect. We all should be like, we're going to be aces in terms of spotting this nine energy this month in September. And so I want to share and talk a little bit more about this moving into full frequency because September being a nine energy day, a nine energy month, and a nine energy year, it is a spiritual checkpoint. That's what this is. So this year so far, you have been stretched, you have been tested, you have been washed and rinsed, and it's literally has probably felt like an initiation of somehow that you're like, I don't know what the hell I'm being initiated into, but this is a lot. Um, you are being initiated. That's what's happening. You are being initiated into a higher version of yourself. This is a planetary. lifting, consciousness lifting opportunity. Um, so what does full frequency means? It means owning your wisdom without apology. That was a good one last month that we definitely learned. It is like living your aligned truth without compromising. No compromise. You know what your truth is. No need to compromise. It is about claiming your spiritual authority. That can feel scary, especially if you have a background or come from an area that is, more right-leaning, maybe not very accepting. That claiming your spiritual authority can be feel a little scary, but we do this safely. It's been scary for me this year to fully step into my work as a numerologist. Not the numerology isn't just like a little backup to my beauty and wellness coaching. My numerology is it is my work, my life work now. And so that can feel super vulnerable because there's lots of people out there who are kind of look down their nose. I've had people look down their nose at me. I've had people call me out on it, like not you don't believe in that shit, do you? So it's been an opportunity for me to say, yes, I do. This is my truth. This is how I move and use my spirit and work with my spirituality. So I've had to step into that authority. If I want to make a difference in more lives, I have to be strong in my own spiritual authority. And then the other place that what full frequency means is letting go of everything that dilutes your signal. That's what you are. You're a signal. You're a big signal, energetic signal. I was chatting with a girlfriend today, and she's revisiting a situationship that she was not impressed with at all. And what I saw was that she was looking at, really looking at that situation as it was diluting her signal. And I said to her that, there's going to be lots of people, thousands of people who will be attracted to your light and want to be around your light. But that doesn't mean that you should give it to them. So that's what this means, letting go of everything that dilutes your signal, letting go of anything and not letting anything in that will dilute your signal or just want to take from your signal or take from your light. And this is where so many of us who have been in caregiving roles in our careers, where it gets really sticky, is that we're so used to making other people comfortable that this is where we don't make people comfortable. We don't make people comfortable by dimming our light. We don't make people comfortable by compromising our signal. Period. That cycle is over. Okay, so we're transitioning into a new cycle. We're going to be completing it in September. So lots of closure energy. So don't be afraid of closure. Maybe even like maybe look at the places like, ooh, what can I get rid of? It's kind of like cleaning out an old closet you've been meaning to clean out for years. Like there's stuff that's been in there for decades that you totally forgot about. What in your life is prime for closure and letting go? Because this year, so nine is a nine energy month, but we've got October, November, December, and a one energy, a two energy, and a three energy in this nine energy year. So we've got a few more months after this month to kind of tie up some loose ends before we start a one energy year in 2026. This is the new beginning year. This is the fresh starts year. It's going to feel so much lighter. It might feel a little overwhelming just because it's energy that's meant to move. This energy in this year is meant to like you stay here until you figure out what you need to let go. So we're going to be starting a new 9-year manifestation cycle in January. So September is this crossroads moment. This is like the ending, being able to look at the endings, but glimpsing at what's possible coming up. So, what I want you to do this month is to lean into this high wisdom of the nine energy as a way to fuel your main character energy and to fuel your full frequency. Use this month as a guide for what's coming up in your next cycle, your next manifestation cycle. So, nine energy isn't always easy. In fact, it can feel very heavy sometimes, but I want to let you know that there's a lot of lightness that can come with it as well. And when we can see where the light is with the nine energy, it makes it so much easier to move through it, to be able to it's like literally having like nine energy goggles on to see, oh, I don't have to be afraid of that because that's just letting go of that old cycle that has been getting in my way anyways. So put your nine energy goggles on right now. I'll put mine on. And we're going to look for those places, not be afraid of them, not want to like procrastinate things and then get surprised by them later. Because the nine energy is like, it's time to let it go no matter what. So I don't like being surprised by stuff, which is why I love using numerology to help guide myself through both sticky situations in my life, highly emotional situations, but also to like just guide me practically to know that there's energies going on. I can't see them, but I can feel them, but I'm going to harness them. So when I know what's happening with the energy, like this nine energy, we can harness it and use it rather than being afraid of it and feeling like a victim to it. It's so much more empowering. So the questions I want to leave you with are, what am I ready to let go of? What am I ready to let go of? Like it's been 9 years. I gotta let it go. What am I ready to forgive? What am I ready to fully embody? You may not know the answers to these questions right now. You might know them at the end of the month, but I do want you to write them down, put them on a little sticky so that you can see them throughout the month because I guarantee that you're going to have a little aha moment throughout the month, especially when you are looking at the energetics of what's going on around you. So this is how we feel far more empowered rather than victimized when it comes to life in on this planet. All right. So if you haven't already had a numerology reading, I highly recommend that you have a personal reading because these numerology forecasts are meant for the collective and they're very, very helpful, but it makes it so much more practical when you know your exact code and the nuances that are going on with it. And I always at the very end give you action steps, but I also give you a little taste of the energies that are happening for coming up for you in the next few months, for you specifically based on your own chart, because this is definitely a crossroads month. And that's what numerology is so good at, is giving you information when you're at a crossroads. So if you need a reading, let me know. You can head to my website and you can book it directly from there, kirstenfoss.com, or you can reach out and ask me if you're unsure which reading is going to be best for you. I will direct you to the best one to start with. All right, my friends, happy nine energy in this nine energy year. It's a big one. It may feel like a lot, but it's okay. It's okay. It's happening divinely. We're going to just let shit go. We're going to let it drop when it wants to drop, and we are not going to pick up the old garbage once it is dropped. All right, we'll see you next month and take good care.